What's up, everyone? I'm Troy from GlitchFeed, and we're here at PAX East 2016 with Alex from the Expeditions Vikings team.
Hello.
I just got a chance to sit and play the game. It is a wonderful, wonderful RPG, action RPG. Tell me a little bit more about the title.
Sure, Expeditions Viking is a historically themed RPG. So what that means is that we're not really going for a high fantasy experience or a mythologically magical type of experience. We're trying to do something that's a bit more historically authentic.
Yes.
And the premise of the game is that you start off as the newly established chieftain of a very small, modest Viking village. And your goal is to essentially elevate the status of yourself and your village so that you can be remembered forever.
Sure. And I like that it's a Viking simulator, which is normally tied around Norse mythology and magic and that sort of thing. I love that you guys have gone historical with it. Tell me a little bit more about kind of the research and kind of what the motivation was to be core and historical to the title.
Yeah, sure. So the Expeditions series this is the second title in our Expeditions series, right? And the whole principle of it is to take these moments in history where something significant happens, where one culture essentially discovers or clashes with another culture,
Sure.
and then we put players, of the modern age into that historical position, and they have to deal with or establish their own morals and behaviors inside of that system. So what it means is that when we represent magic or mythology in the game, we represent it as the way that we perceive it, which is as a religion.
Okay.
But the characters who are actually involved in the story, they believe it to be true. They believe it to be real. So mystical and magical things can happen. You can run into certain types of experiences, but what we do is we represent them in a way where you as the player can explain them away.
Right.
So that could involve like a vision quest or a dream sequence, or in the example that we showed you here, where the characters all become poisoned and drugged by a noxious gas, and then they start hallucinating these mythical creatures that they experience.
So let's talk a little about what you did show me. So it was a quest kind of cut out of the main campaign, correct?
That's right.
It was very interesting. The story really, it drops you into the beginning of the story. You have to get into this burial ground.
That's
but
right.
Then it opens up. It really there was multiple paths. You even described paths I didn't even think were options that I just hadn't explored yet. That open story, can you explain a little bit more about what kind of the drivers are for that kind of open world?
Yeah, totally. The thing is that as the title suggests, the Expedition series is something that we try to encourage exploration within.
Right.
So what that means is that we give players various options to resolve quests that they encounter.
Sure.
So the way that you played it out, you picked a certain series of paths, and they wove through basically a network of choices that you could have made, and the outcome ended up actually pretty well. You got away with all that loot, which was really cool.
Everything was good.
But you could have done it a variety of different ways, right? And what we do is we try to allow for different player types or different player styles to prevail within the game system. So we have the ability for you to play as the stereotypical, frothy mouthed, foaming, aggressive Viking, right? The lunatic raider. We allow you to play in a bit more of a political way or a manipulative way as you experience.
I think I did a little bit, yeah.
And then we also try to allow for players to play in more of a noble or a righteous sort of way. Sure. Take the moral high ground, use your 21st century moral compass and try to, sway the people of this world that we're putting you into, or this historical period, into maybe doing something that's a little bit more noble or a little bit more proper, good guy kind of stuff.
Right. So character creation was a huge piece in the beginning of the demo. What in character customization and leveling up? What are some of the main points of character customization that you guys wanted to put in?
Right. So. We got a lot of player feedback from our first game, Expeditions Conquistador, about being a player in the actual game world. So what we wanted to first off do is allow for players to create and customize their own characters visually, but then we also took to heart some other thoughts about classes. A traditional RPG often has very set classes or archetypes that you can choose within, and then each of those classes has unique skills or abilities that are allocated towards them. The system that we've created is more of a classless system where, yes, there are some prerequisites for some of the skills, but the basic ability scores and the choices that you make for how you want to craft and create your character are up to you. And what we do is, as you do that, we have a character description for you, just as like we have for any of the other characters that join your party. And your character's description changes or adapts to the types of choices you've made on skills and abilities.
Sure.
So if you end up speccing towards a melee fighter that has abilities in axe and sword, maybe you want to be, and you take a high strength, high endurance, that sort of stuff, then we'll tell you that you're starting to look like a berserker to us.
Right.
Whereas if you take maybe high perception and low strength and you spec into archery, perhaps you're going to be more of a hunter type of character. So it's not really a class, but more of a clue or a hint from us to let you know the way that you're going with your character. But as you level up, you're able to then add new skills and abilities in, which may adapt your description.
Sure. And the dialogue, I have to say, awesomely written pieces in the story. And this was a cool thing you brought up, how much dialogue is in the game, roughly, by the time between now and completion? How much do you think is going to be there?
Right, we're gearing towards having about 200,000 words worth of conversation and dialogue, which obviously it is quite wordy, but the thing is that we really want to get people a couple of options. One, we want to allow for you to dive with your imagination, not only with the visuals that we represent in the game, but your own imagination to kind of continue to craft the world inside of your own head.
Right.
But we also want to have enough dialogue options where we respond to your choices. So instead of creating a variety of dialogue decisions that you can make that all eventually lead back to the same outcome, what we do is we often have dialogue choices that then are permanent choices that alter or sway the conversation in a totally unique and different way.
Yeah.
And what that means is that you have to have a lot of words to be able to afford players to make those choices and make it feel like it matters. Because when you go back to play the second time, maybe if you played a more passive role-play style the first time through and then you play back through aggressively the second time, you're going to start experiencing the game in a whole unique and different way.
Absolutely, yeah, and you outlined that a little bit to me, not just in that one mission, but one of the issues with these kind of open story games is that it all really just boils down to one decision at the very end anyways. And as you described it, it's more of an open tree that kind of, you progress through the story, but you're still creating your own play style, your own method, and playing it a second time isn't still going to get you to the same final decision. It's going to get you, based on how you played, a totally different world.
Absolutely. I mean, not just depending on whether you're aggressive or passive, peaceful or a negotiator. Also, you're going to ally or have the opportunity to ally with various factions, both inside of the Norse region, within the Nordic peoples, or over in England where you raid in the second campaign. So then, based on all of those choices, various unique things are going to unlock for you. So let's say, for example, the first time you go through the game, you decide to be an aggressive raider and you just smash every homestead, every village that you come across. Right. The way that people respond to you in England and in Scotland will be very different to if you come and start some sort of negotiation. You start playing the politics of the region, or either pitting various factions against each other, or siding with one and elevating them to a certain position of power within their own region.
Very cool. Very cool. So where is Expeditions Viking in terms of development? What's next on the plate for the title? Right,
so we're looking at getting our preview builds out and available to the media near the end of May.
Cool.
And then after the previews come out, we're going to open up. We're going to hold a closed beta.
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of an opposite if I say open up. We're going to hold a closed beta for various users where they can join. Hopefully, if you folks are interested, we can provide a few codes for you to give away, beta testing codes for folks to come and join us on the forums and let us know what they think.
Would be.
That would be awesome.
Of course.
And then with a small group of players, we're going to take the feedback from our previews and from the beta players and just basically assess how we're doing. So if we're on track with our intentions, like our design intentions versus the way you folks see it coming out, the outcomes, then we're right on track to be out in the fall of this year.
Very cool. Well, I am very excited for this game. It's an awesome story-driven game, RPG, especially in the Norse world that I love. So I am super excited for Expeditions Vikings. Where can they check it out in the meantime?
In the meantime, if they want to get more information, they can join us on Twitter. We have a Twitter account called @ExpeditionsGame, or they can come and join us on our newsletter. We send out a monthly newsletter where you can sign up on our website, which is expeditionsseries.com.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us, and definitely check out Expeditions Viking.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, everybody.
Hey guys, guys, Sarah here, and I'm at PAX East. Thanks for watching all of our coverage. If you want to see more, you can just click these fantastic links. And always, you can like, comment, and subscribe to keep watching us and all of our shows.